Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you all had a good night's rest and ready for today's lesson. We're moving on from fractions today, and we're going to start and have a look at an introduction to mass. And mass is how we weigh things. So when you jump on the scale in the morning and you want to see how many kilograms you have picked up, then you would be talking about your weight, and that is your mass. We're going to be looking at exercise 20.1 and 20.2 on page 108 and 109. But before we get there, let's quickly have a look at today's mental maths. Pause the video now and do table chart 13. Okay, here are your answers. Please mark with a green pen and corrections where possible, and try and see how you had made the mistake that you did. Okie dokie. The memo for yesterday's homework, exercise 19.4, is as follows. Please mark your work with a green pen and corrections where possible. If it was a calculation error, please redo the calculation and see if you can get the correct answer the second time round. Okay, so when we talk about mass, or we want to weigh an item, in grade 5 we teach you about two different weights. We talk about grams and kilograms. Now if you have a look at this little paper clip here, we could say that this paper clip weighs 1 gram. So for things that don't weigh very much, like a paper clip or a feather for example, we would say that we measure them in grams. It makes sense to weigh them in grams because kilograms are much larger. For example, this bag of rice, extra long grain rice, this we would weigh as 1 kilogram. Now, boys and girls, it's important to remember that things that are a little bit more weighty, we say kilograms. So, for example, if I wanted to weigh myself, I would most definitely be kilograms. Now, if we have a look at the paper clip and we compare it to the bag of rice, if that paper clip weighed 1 gram, how much do you think the bag of rice could weigh? Now, to work that out, I've put a little demonstration together. Now, if I took paper clips and I took 1,000 paper clips, now if one paper clip was 1 gram, 1,000 paper clips would be 1,000 grams. And 1,000 grams, oops, my screen has frozen, there we go. 1,000 paper clips would be 1 bag of rice. Now, 1 bag of rice is the equivalent to 1 kilogram. Now, if I have a look at this and I want to write it out here for you, in the word kilogram, that word kilo, that one over there, it actually means unit of 1,000. So that word kilo is just the shortened version, and it means unit of 1,000. So a kilogram would be 1,000 grams. The abbreviation for grams is just a G. So grams would just be a G, a small g. And kilograms would be a kg. And I'm sure you've seen the kg symbol on quite a few food items already. So, which unit of mass do you think we would use to measure this bunch of bananas? Grams or kilograms? I would say we would use kilograms. If you were talking about 1 banana, I would probably use grams. But for a bunch of bananas, I would say kilograms. This feather, would you use kilograms or would you use grams? Yes, I would also use grams, because it's not going to weigh very much at all. Okay, so which is lighter, 60 grams or 3 kilograms? Now, remember, 60 grams is in its simplest form, but the 3 kilograms could be also written as 3,000 grams. Which is the lighter weight? Definitely the 60 grams, hey? Definitely the 60 grams. The next one, which is heavier, 1,000 grams or a kilogram? That's correct, they equal. Okay, trick question. They are the same weight. The next one, which is lighter, 700 grams or 1 kilogram? That's correct, 700 grams is the lighter one. The last one, which is heavier, 90 grams or 50 kilograms? Remember, 50 kilograms can be written as 50,000 grams. Okay. Yes, 90 grams would be the lighter one, 50,000. So 50 kilograms would be the heavier one. Okay, around the world, some countries choose to use the system of kilograms and grams. It's called the metric system, and all the countries that you can see on this map shaded in green would use this metric system. I know in the United States of America, they use a different system, and they talk about pounds and ounces. Okay, so types of scales and types of things that we use to measure weight. We have here a bathroom scale, a kitchen scale, a balancing scale, and a digital scale. Now, the one that I use most often is definitely that one, to see how fat I am getting. And during lockdown, I definitely did pick up a kilogram or 2. So I definitely wouldn't go to the kitchen and want to sit on the kitchen scale, because this kitchen scale is designed for something different. It might not necessarily be able to weigh the type of figure that I would want to see. Okay, now reading a scale. Boys and girls, most scales work on a circular format. For the purpose of a lesson, I'm going to take those and I'm going to put them in straight lines to explain to you how you would read a scale. Now on this scale here is a kitchen scale, and they're asking us what is the weight indicated by the needle. Now the needle is between 100 and 200. Now you have to calculate what value each little space is, and only then can you say, okay, the value on that scale is 125 grams. I'm going to show you now how to do that. So there are 4 kinds of scales that you could come across when you are working in maths. Now, the first one is where you would have 10 gaps. Okay? What do I mean by 10 gaps? So between 1 kilogram and 2 kilograms, you would have 10 gaps. Here they are. The first gap, the second gap, the third gap, the fourth gap, and the last gap, the 10th one. Now, between 1 kilogram and 2 kilograms, how many grams have we got in that space? Yes, we've got 1,000 grams there. Now I want to calculate what each little space is equal to. So I say 1,000 divided by the number of gaps that there are. And there are 10 gaps. So each little gap will be 100 grams. So if I go back to my scale and I say to myself, let's have a look. Each one of them, let me just rub these out. Each gap will be 100 grams. 100 grams, 100 grams, 100 grams, and so forth. So if my scale was pointing to that line over there, I would have 1 kilogram plus 300 grams. So I would have 1 kilogram and 300 grams. Let's have a look at the next scale. The next scale is divided into 4 equal pieces. Again, I'm going from 1 kilogram to 2 kilograms, which is 1,000 grams between there. So this space here, okay, would be 1,000 grams. Now, if I want to calculate each individual space, I need to divide by the number of spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, and 1,000 divided by 4 is 250 grams. So on this scale, each little space would be 250 grams. That would be 250, that would be 250, and so on. So if my scale was pointing to that point over there, I would be talking about 1 kilogram and 500 grams, because there was that plus that. Okay. The next one, my scale again, the difference, or not the difference, if I travel from there to there, I traveled 1,000 grams. How many gaps are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gaps. So I need to divide by 5 to get each individual one. And if I divide by 5, I am left with 200 grams for each section. Okay, so if I go back to my drawing, my scale, each little section would be 200 grams. 200, 200, 200, and so forth. The last one is the simplest one of them all. It's 1,000 grams, and you're dividing it by 2 spaces. So each one is 500 grams. Okay? So the first gap would be 500, and the second one would also be 500. These are the easy ones. Now, boys and girls, you always need to check where your scale starts. It might not always start at 0. So you go the first increment, you find out how many gaps it is, and you would only ever encounter one of these 4 scales. Okay. Today's homework, I don't need to explain anything to you. You just follow the instructions as per your textbook. Exercise 20.1 and 20.2. In 20.2, you can copy the table down onto your piece of paper. You're going to take a brick, for example. You're going to give the unit of mass that you would use to weigh it. You're going to use the type of scale that you would use. Would you use a kitchen scale? Would you use a bathroom scale? Would you use a balancing scale? Then you're going to estimate it. You're going to assume, take a guess. Then you're going to actually weigh it and record the weight. And then you're going to do the difference in the mass. So your estimated compared to what it actually weighed, you're going to do a subtraction and calculate the difference between your estimate and what it actually weighed. Okay, so today's exercises are on page 107, 108, exercise 20.1 and 20.2. Good luck, boys and girls.